So, hello and welcome to the Friend or FoF Lounge. I am your friendly neighborhood Shackhouse Char again. Today I've got joining with me on this wonderful day is Oriri, Joushi, and Ahntye. We're going to be talking about the Helios games that just took place a couple of days ago. This is the first game we've got up right here is STC, SEAL Team Chris versus Pentakill Teemo Please. You know, it's been kind of interesting.
Like stream for us so that
I guess I can make it easier on y'all so you can actually see what's going on here. As if I click on that, can you see it now? No,
I can see. I mean, I can see the games.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just Discord noob. That one's on me.
It happens. All good. Okay, so yeah, hopping right into this. SEAL Team Chris, I think, has actually been doing a little bit better lately. Just kind of as a general rule.
I'm soloing is really impressive.
I guess I should rephrase. SEAL Team Chris did a really good job recruiting I am soloing.
I just want to let everyone know that we almost got I'm soloing.
Yeah.
Just want to say before he joined STC. Just want to put that out there.
I mean, like, the thing is, I'm soloing's really, really solid when they're on one of the 3 champions that they play.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it is competitive play, which means you can just straight up be banned out.
It definitely can be.
The thing is, I don't get why Yone keeps getting left up of those 3, because people are banning Zed and Yasuo, but not Yone.
I think people feel like Yone is easier to counter, which is true. Yone is definitely the easiest one to counter of the 3, just because, you know, the champion is kind of straightforward and relies on your opponents making mistakes to actually do anything. That said, a lot of people don't get experience against Yone, right? Like, just knowing that Yone is not as good is not enough. You have to understand why he's not as good. You have to be willing to counter it. So we've seen these quirky counter picks, and we unfortunately counterpicked ourselves later on when we talk about TG versus Rex. Like, Corki is quite good into Yone. And I think that's what PTP were trying to do. They was like, we're happy with this counter pick. We're going to shut him down. And they were wrong.
Yeah, I don't know, because like one of the big things, right? You know, my golden rule for drafting is if the enemy team has a 1 trick or a 2 trick, or, you know, even a 3 trick at worst, just don't give it to them, right? You know, unless there's something incredibly pressing that you have to get rid of, just don't give it to them.
Yeah. And I also want to give a little bit of props to the rest of the team real quick, right? Like, I feel like Gohan and Sango, like, Sango is very clearly a better support than a mid laner. You know, Woof is doing all right. I still feel like the top lane in this game got kind of gapped by the Mordekaiser, but, you know, when Yone is so far ahead, it's going to be okay. But the rest of the team is also looking better than they were in their previous incarnation. So
I mean, interesting thing to me, because allowing Mordekaiser should be relatively free for Mord, but Trulax ended up getting a solo kill on Mord and ended up coming out of that lane with a lead, which was surprising to me, because Mordekaiser versus Alawi is just, you know, you continue to harass Alawi without mana, and once you hit 6 and she hits 6, just wait until she ulties and then you ult her, and congrats, no tentacles, like, GG.
Yeah, I think this is... Was it the first blood you were talking about? Or was it a kill later on?
I'm not too sure, but basically, it's more just along the lines of Trulax ended up getting the edge over Mort in this lane, which is a lane that Alawi should not be winning. Yeah, and
am I remembering a different Alawi game?
Maybe.
Was there another Alawi game this week?
I think there was.
I think SCC has played it twice.
SCC has played it.
Trulax is pretty comfortable on the Alawi. It's one of those champs that they really enjoy playing, and honestly, like, I think is a very strong pick into a lot of different top laners, just because of how tanky you can get later on. Then you get that lifesteal, and it's in the middle of a team fight. If you can somehow lure them into the jungle, they're basically screwed, because there's nowhere for them to go, and there's going to be tentacles everywhere.
Alawi is perfect for disengage compositions. It's all right here, because, you know, if you get engaged on, you have Alawi, and if you're ahead, you have Yone and Tristana and Rakan everywhere. So yeah, it's just a very hard team to play against if you're behind.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see a lot of hard engage on the side of PTP that would allow them to kind of force a fight out of STC that STC didn't want to take. Just because, like, you've got the Ziggs who's going to keep on pushing, but basically STC's got total control of the map, especially at that Fiddlesticks, which we've been seeing more of lately too.
The big thing for me that jumps out, like, compositionally in terms of draft is SGC, if Alawi's not there, don't have a real front line, right? You're going to get destroyed later on in the game by Ziggs Gorky damage.
Yep.
So you are kind of on a timer as STC, and they started off really well, and they were able to carry it through. And again, like, props to I'm Soloing for finding all those advantages. They had kind of a wonky team composition to make work, and again, like, they're able to make it work because a lot of teams are not, they're drafting these compositions that are fine, but they don't know how to play them as a composition.
Like,
I was going to say, once you get to 10-1, you're kind of fine, regardless of what the game state.
Yeah, I mean, STC's team composition is a perfect example of, if we win early, we just win.
Yeah.
But if you don't get to that point, if you don't get that early win, then you're kind of boned. It really depends.
So I guess you guys can kind of give me some opinions on this right here. So I guess one of the things is like playing these safer early game comps, like where you need to play safe. Have you been noticing that your opponents just aren't really respecting the damage that you're capable of putting out in your lane, or is it just greed for CS? Like what do you think is it that's causing the major problems for these situations, essentially, like to basically evolve where you end up with an 11-1 game at 17 minutes?
I think it's mostly just the misunderstanding of what your comp wants to do. I think that's the big thing. They might know, like, hey, we can't really fight, but how, like, there still has to be a plan of, like, what you're going to do to stop fighting. Like, because they can just force fights on you. Is it, I'm going to be under tower? Is it, I'm just going to continually shove the lane? Like, there's these options that they have to decide on what they want to do. And if you don't know what you want to do, you're not going to do it.
Right. Well, yeah. I guess that is one way of describing it, but I'm referring more to on a micro level rather than a macro, because I mean, just looking at this fight right here where Mordekaiser goes in on the Alawi, I don't think Mordekaiser really realized they were going to win this, and I don't think they should have won it. I think Alawi misplayed or misclicked somewhere.
I mean, Mordekaiser just censored the death realm. Congrats, your ulti doesn't really matter.
Oh, that's true. That was what it was. So they sent him to the death realm. That's why. Okay, yeah, that's why they're glowing the way they are.
They ulted it. The Alawi ulted in the death realm.
Yeah, you're still missing like 2 tentacles though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And see, that's what I mean. It's like I understand. Like, yeah, you're gonna have the micro missing in the sense of like mechanics, and so not necessarily the best plays. But Mordekaiser, technically, should they have even been taking this fight?
Yeah, probably, because if they ulted even better.
Okay.
Yeah, because the Mordekaiser already has Mythic over the Alawi. So this one's just a matter of knowing your numbers. But one of the big things, honestly, right, is just along the lines of if you're playing a safe comp that has to give up early fights and things like that, a lot of the times people don't really understand how to play from behind. So they just say, oh no, big objective is going down, we have to contest this. But it doesn't matter how safe of an early game composition you have if you're playing against a team. Like if you play, let's say something like Kale, right? Something that scales up really, really hard.
Yep.
And you're level 3 and the enemy top laner is something like Darius, right? You're not fighting for that dragon, but teams just see, oh, it's a big objective. We can't really let this go. But it's fine. You're going to get those objectives later on into the game. You have to be willing to let this go.
So it's more of a sense of patience.
Kind of. I kind of want to add onto that and kind of like the flip side of the coin, right? Because on the one hand, if you're playing a scaling composition, you're going to be giving up the first couple of dragons, maybe the first Rift Herald or something. But there's a difference between being a safe composition and a passive composition, right? Passive compositions and passive play is almost always bad. You are still looking to play in such a way that you are able to provide safety for your scaling elements. And if you can't do that, or they can't do that for themselves, you're going to find yourself really far behind. And as Ahntye already brought up, playing from behind is hard, even for good teams. But the other core part of it is, as Ahntye said, like you can give up the first couple dragons, and that's actually like what core theory of high level League of Legends is right now. You would like the first 2 dragons, but you don't really care about them all that much. They are nice to have, but if you can trade them for about a 3,000 gold lead most of the time, you're going to do that every single time at the higher levels, because that 3,000 gold lead is worth way more when the 3rd dragon spawns than those 2 dragons generally will.
Yeah.
Yeah, what little stats those things are able to give you just isn't going to matter as much as that gold lead. Okay.
Dragons individually are almost irrelevant. The only ones that are relevant on their own are Infernal, and after 20 minutes a single Infernal is worth about 1,000 gold across the team, and Mountain Dragon, which is worth about 1,500 across the team on average after 20 minutes. But before 20 minutes they literally are completely irrelevant.
I mean, before 20 minutes there's certain points where Cloud Drag can be useful, but outside of that it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah, if you're fighting like on cooldown with your ultimate, they can come up, but it's very rare that breakpoint matters.
Yeah, it really depends on the things. Like, if you're playing Fiddlesticks or Hecarim or something crazy like that, then yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, no, it's like I said, it was something that I thought was interesting. Pretty good discussion there.
One of the
who was talking about Fiddlesticks? Was it RLS that was talking about Fiddlesticks?
I mentioned it.
That was the other day. Basically, there were a lot of teams that are picking up Fiddlesticks, and there's people who are saying, Fiddlesticks is really good in our elo breaks, and because people aren't understanding how to play around chokes and other things like that. And I was saying, RLS spent an entire season working around Fiddlesticks, because Pangu Soul, who's now our mid laner, was our jungler the last season, and he was a Fiddlesticks one trick for a while. So we spent a lot of time playing around Fiddlesticks, trying to figure out what makes him work, what makes him not work. And because of it, we have a 100% win rate against Fiddlesticks this season.
Well,
but it's definitely interesting.
It is an interesting pick, and it's kind of funny. It's like, you may not know how to play around choke points against a Fiddlesticks, but do you know how to play around choke points with a Fiddlesticks is also the question. Yeah. All right, and just FYI, or when you lean like that, I can't see you.
My apologies.
Yeah, just it's like we just had like half your body in frame there. It's all good. All right, so SEAL Team Chris picks up a win. This put them at 2-9. So
playoff dream, baby.
Playoff dream. They're driving for it. Do we think they have a chance? I think long term.
There's a chance.
There's definitely a chance. I could totally see it happening.
I think I Am Soloing's back's gonna break before they get there, but yeah.
I think so. They need to win their head-to-head next week, right?
Yeah.
And then I would like to think that both TG will beat STC and Rex will beat CFG. So, it really just depends on that head-to-head between the two teams. And I feel like Coin Flip is favored, but I don't think it's by a huge margin.
Not by a huge margin.
I think STC is favored.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure CFG is still going through some growing pains with their new roster, aren't they?
For sure.
Yeah. If I'm gonna be completely honest, because the next game that's coming up is RLS versus CFG. I do think that mechanically the new CFG players are actually relatively solid. I think that their new top laner, Yuglong Museum, is, in terms of laning, is actually really, really solid. So it makes me concerned to see how Trulax is going to hold up. Because I don't think Trulax's laning is quite up to par for what we need to see in order to get STC that one. But as long as Trulax can hold on, right? That's the real question.
Well, talking about this one, Ahntye, they'll let you get your set.
Yeah.
Playing into a Trundle. How was that?
We spent a while, as usual. We always spend a lot of time with draft prep, right? And every single time we spend a long time on draft prep, we get into drafting phase, they ban completely different champions, and we're like, what the hell? We had a completely different team comp in mind, but now you're just giving us what we want, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I saw the set and the volley bear come through for RLS, and I was like, oh god, this sounds like a freaking nightmare for their top laner.
Yeah.
Like, it was so weird because we were going into it with the full assumption that, you know, we would have our 3 most picked champions get banned away from us, right?
Mhm.
And we just go in and it's like Ziggs gets through, Wally gets through, Mumu gets through, Sight gets through, Ori gets through. And it's like, what are we looking at here?
Yep, it's kind of like I feel like that's more of a like you do draft prep. I'm not entirely sure what CFG does behind the scenes for draft prep on their side of things. So maybe you just have a little bit more of a knowledge base on your side compared to them.
I mean, the big thing, right, is that it looked like they did draft prep entirely based off of OPGGs and nothing else, because they banned Thresh in the first rotation. Which, if you look at Demon Girl's OPGG, sure, she plays a lot of Thresh, but it's not like we have a huge amount of priority on it. So I don't understand why that's your biggest priority to ban early.
Yeah. You know, I still haven't
I think
given...
it's a Mumu.
Go ahead.
I think Amumu is just such a bigger threat than Thresh currently. Like,
Amumu's just broken.
Yeah. He's in a broken state right now. I mean, that's kind of what Riot likes to do. They like to just break something and then fix it because it's a little bit easier than trying to slowly nudge it in a direction. Like, it just from a game design standpoint, that's really kind of the easier way of balancing something. You just go, okay, we want it to be able to do this thing. Let's make it do it really, really well. And if it's too good, we'll just pull it back. I'm curious what they're going to do to nerf it, because you know a nerf is going to be incoming. My anticipation is going to be that it's going to be on the charge time of the second bandage. Another thing that I noticed in the patch notes for upcoming patch is they're going to be reducing smite healing.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's
I don't think
Thank
that's
God.
gonna be. I don't think that's gonna be nearly as bad as people are making it. Sure, it'll affect like ganking, but I don't think it's gonna have nearly as an impact.
I was playing a
as-
game earlier where I had like a quarter of my health bar as Xin Zhao. I just kind of walked away, jumped on a camp, smited, and I was almost full health.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it's gonna be.
That's a little. I'd call that
I mean,
unfair.
I think it'll make jungle more reasonable because
Yeah.
I don't like that you can gank, almost die, and then just go to your jungle and come out full health. It's not. I don't think that's quite okay.
It depends on which part they're nerfing, because you heal based off of your damage anyways. So if they're nerfing just a flat damage, because I think
I don't think they're nerfing the damage. They're going to probably make it a percentage or a flat.
Well, no,
heal.
I don't mean like the damage. I'm just talking about like, because it's already like it's a scaling heal. It's like 25% of your missing health or something like that. I don't know the exact number, but like it's, I feel like that's not what's healing a lot. Yeah, that heals a lot, but the burn heal is insane. Like you go to Raptor camp, like Fiddlesticks, like he already heals a lot, but you heal 3 times as much because of the burn damage.
Yeah,
And
that's
they-
true.
Yeah. A lot of good junglers will like walk by raptors and throw a skill shot at it, not even doing it, as they're
Yep.
going from one place to another just to heal off of it.
Yeah.
Especially if you have if Volibear just eats it and then goes to red buff. Boom.
Yeah, and I mean this is the nerf version already.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so there was that, and then there was also the AFK timers. I don't know if you looked at those. Those get really funny. Basically, there's like 7 tiers of that. Like, this is unrelated to the game. I think this is hilarious. If you get to a point where you've got a 15-minute queue timer for 5 games and you get another AFK ping, so you go up to from tier 3 to tier 4, you get a 24-hour queue lock. So you can't even play ranked for 24 hours. Then that goes up to 48 hours if you go to the next level with a 5-game 15-minute penalty. So you can't start the queue for 15 minutes every game. And then that goes up to a week, and then I think 2 weeks for the queue lock.
A long time.
That's a very...
Good
At
thing
that
I'm not
point, why don't you
toxic.
just ban people? Like, it's kind of like you should just ban them at that point.
Yeah.
But back to the game. Ahntye, so what was y'all's expectation? Like, you said you did a little bit of draft prep, and you are saying that CFG is looking better in the micro sense, right? Like their players are better. How was their overall coordination though? Did it seem like that there's still some kind of a learning curve that they got to go through, or are they getting kind of like to that point where they're able to play together pretty solidly?
If I'm going to be completely honest, I have no idea because they drafted 3 losing lanes and fiddlesticks, so they didn't have the ability to do it.
Okay. Yeah,
Right?
I had a feeling
So it doesn't matter how coordinated of a team you are. If you're dealt that hand, unless you're just better than the enemy team, I don't think you have much you really can do.
So still kind of that solo queue-esque team comp sort of a thing.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, they're also playing into like Curse of the Sad Bullet time, right? This was meta defining back in like season 3 or 4, I want to say.
The moment that Amumu support started becoming popular, I said, wait, we're just going to bring back the Cloud9 composition.
Yeah. And so like this was the thing that people were playing, and RLS started playing it, and you have to be pretty darn coordinated to be able to play against that kind of composition because it's so straightforward to play. And RLS, like this is about as stereotypical of an RLS draft as you can get, right? Like they're on all their comfort champions, they have winning lanes, and they have a very easy team fight. So it's kind of hard to look at this and say, it's like, oh, what did CFG do wrong? It's like, well, they outdrafted themselves.
Yeah. Like there's so much of it that really does come down to the draft first that it's hard to really say what they did.
It's hard to give an analysis of the actual game and the actual overall team coordination. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, so with this one,
what's up with Soraka coming back? I don't think.
Well, it's the heal buff. The heal buff.
They first picked her. So like the thing is, Soraka's good. Don't get me wrong. I think Soraka's a great champion. You can't blind pick her. You cannot blind pick her.
There's too many ways to counter her. Yeah. And it's like,
I mean, in both leagues, specifically, it's like Serenity's and I guess CFG now is like they're picking Soraka like blind pickable, and I'm just like,
absolutely
why?
Yeah. I like your steal from the misfortune right there, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If you heard Escape during our comms, he was like, classic Josh ulti, ulting them right out of my ulti.
It's funny how that happens more often than you want it to happen.
Oh, this happened exactly when I wanted it to happen.
Oh, I know. For you, it happened exactly how you wanted it. But I'm talking about like in like your solo queue games. You have some kind of targeted ulti, and someone's gonna move it out of the way. All right, so you guys handled that one pretty well. Hopping into the next one, it was GURL versus Ahntye. Again, we've talked about GURL before. They seem to do, like you said, they were like Dignitas, where they're winning until they're losing. And it comes down to their coordination, because I think we get to like here. Hold on, because they got pretty like the kill lead went in their favor. They were like, they were like 6 and 4, but if you're looking at the gold, it's not even like a 1,000k gold difference. It's just dead heat, and that's due to the CSing and due to the objective taking. So you've really got to make sure that you're focusing on those.
Yeah.
So if you had one piece of advice for GURL, what would it be? Just
do something.
Just one?
This is the one game I didn't watch.
Ahntye.
Yeah, I didn't watch this game specifically, but like from what I can tell, it doesn't seem like they're forcing anything. Like I'm not saying like they're super head, but what's their comp? Fiddlesticks, Darius? Like they can definitely like get
Darius gets a triple kill like early in the game.
Yeah, like if he
I guess one of the big things that I would say is if you have gold on someone, play around them, right? If your Darius gets a triple kill after rushing Frozen Heart, don't put the Darius bot lane into 280 carries. Force an objective with your Darius.
Yeah, that's a conversation that I know Rex has a lot. Is just this person is strong. We are now playing around this person, right? This is what this person wants to do. We're doing that. So, an easy example that came to mind a long time ago that hasn't happened in this tournament was we had like this really strong engage composition one time, but I was 6-0 on Jace. And I'm like, okay, well, we could fight them, but I am 6-0 on Jace. I'm going to poke them. You guys are going to stand in front of me, and when they come in, we are going to kill them. But we're not going to do anything until they engage on us because I'm Jace, right? Like, let me do what my character does.
And one of the big things, right, is this is something that our coach brought up to us. Like, we say coach, he was our support last season, he just didn't have the time to play with us this season. He's not primarily a League of Legends player, but he's primarily a Dota player. So what he introduced us is the concept of positions, where in Dota you have positions 1 through 5. And position 1 is the position that gets all the gold, all the resources. Basically, you play entirely around them. And in the game, if you have someone who has like a hell of a lot of gold, right? So let's say we have an Aphelios Thresh composition, but I'm playing set. If I'm fed on set, it doesn't matter that Aphelios is the AD carry and needs all the gold. We play around the set because I'm the one who will do the most damage in fights and have the most impact. And then once we transition later into the game, it transitions back to Aphelios doing the most damage. So we start playing around that. And you need to identify what is your position 1 at each point of time in the game so you can play around.
Yeah, and that's always, it can be kind of tricky to figure out, like, if you're not familiar with that sort of concept. But that's actually really interesting that your coach coming from Dota is able to provide that, because across MOBAs, they all have kind of like this general similarity, essentially, is a good way to describe it. Like, there's something about them that is going to be the same from a strategic standpoint. So like, even if the champions change, even if the style of abilities change, you're gonna always have this kind of, you've got to make sure you're playing to the objective sort of thing. So I think you guys actually have kind of a leg up in that sense by having a Dota coach, because he's not trying to go, okay, so we got to work on, like, he's not getting bogged down with the micro of the champion. He's getting like, okay, here's the macro overall theory craft. How do we make this fit into League?
Yeah.
He primarily is Dota. He's primarily like a Dota player and a chess player, so it's significantly more focused on that.
See that right there? It's like you add chess into it, you're already like, this is why RLS just completely crushes. So okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, Joushi hears chess and he's already happy.
Yeah. The one other thing I would add to for GURL is they need to be doing things with a goal. Right? You know, you go to the dragon and you can be standing around the dragon and hitting it, but okay, what happens if the other team comes? Are you hitting the dragon to pull the other team and try and get a fight? Are you hitting the dragon with the goal of taking the dragon? Why are you doing this? And so oftentimes we see fights that GURL will, you know, they don't do a lot of proactive things, but when they try to do proactive things, they will go and then they'll be like, oh, the other team's here, wait, what are we doing? Are we trying to hit this? Are we going somewhere else? Oh, wait, you know, we have a 3v2, but that's not enough people. Okay, we're going to back off. And so they end up wasting a lot of time and giving space when they don't need to. And I feel like the person that I noticed this specifically against, because I was laning against them, was their mid laner. I think we've been calling her Nico, right? She just left lane all the time, and we didn't know where she was. And she would be gone and miss like an entire wave, and I would be saying, she's missing, she's still missing, she's still missing. And then she wouldn't gank anywhere, right? It's like, where were you this entire time? What were you doing? And the answer was usually she was like walking from one lane to the other, looking to see if like one of my side lanes was going to make a mistake, but my side lanes just didn't make mistakes that she could capitalize on. So you have to do it with the intention of like, I am protecting you, or I am going to start a fight, and they don't do that next step of committing to like, this is why we're doing it.
I see. Yeah, no, it's definitely, you just gotta have a plan that can get messed up by getting punched in the teeth.
Yeah,
that's essentially
you need to have a plan. It's okay to deviate from the plan, but you do need to have a plan.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, surprisingly, GURL did, I think, really, really well against Ahntye. I do also think that's partially due to the fact that Ahntye griefed it in the draft. I'd love to give GURL all the credit, but I mean, you've got a Quinn, Samira, Sivir. And Sivir's in the support role. I'm like, what else are you expecting other than this to be a kill fest and to potentially go very, very poorly and lose a lot of objectives?
Quinn top as a counterpick to Darius isn't terrible.
That's
I think
not my problem with it. It's
the
Quinn top is fine.
Quinn top as a counterpick to Darius is all right. I think Bo Explode actually played it really poorly.
Yeah, I agree.
And, you know, Evolved Noob playing on Victor, that's fine. The Sivir support was actually totally fine in that instance, just because GURL weren't playing around it, because they weren't, you know, they're not used to it, right?
Well, and so Sivir support is an actual viable thing, you're saying?
Okay, so
Viable, yes.
I am the you could call me like the king of super niche weird counter picks. Like I am a diehard advocate of Gangplank and Zac support. Like it just trust me on this. You can make a lot of things work.
I'm not
if the situation calls for it.
Yeah.
And the thing about Sivir is that Sivir support can work here. I don't like it with Samira.
So, okay, under what context would you take a Sivir support then? Because I know for a Misfortune, you take it into Zyra because it destroys the plant so dang fast.
Now, a Sivir support is something that you pick purely if you already know you're going to be winning the laning phase. And it's basically just for the ultimate, right? So you can't really engage on the Sivir because she's got Spell Shield, and the ultimate is going to help you out during the mid game, and added poke in a lane that you're already going to be winning is great. So let's say the enemy picks Ezreal Yuumi, you pick something like, you know, Caitlyn Sivir, and what are they going to do about it?
Yeah.
True. Okay.
You pick Sivir's support in similar situations to where you pick Xera's support. Right.
But you go for the AD instead of the AP.
Yeah.
It's easier to itemize against it as the enemy team, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. I don't hate it, but it is kind of like,
Nope. All right.
It is kind of when you already have a Quintop.
Yeah, so this is the Terracotta versus Rex game that we got right here. This was the one that we ended up playing on Friday. So
yeah, I'll let Oriri start because you know, his team won.
Hey, I did nothing that game.
You dunked on Rafa.
So number one, we went in there kind of angry.
Angry.
We did not like what you guys said about the team in general. I know it's shit talk, but like motivation's motivation, you know?
Oh yeah.
Fair enough.
So we got pumped about that. Like like we were like, we gotta prove 1499 Esports is better than 1499 Esports. Two, like we want to be number one in the league, and number three, I think it was Rafa who did it, right? He went after a certain player, and that player, especially as you guys witnessed in game, was kind of mad about it. So we had a lot of I'm not gonna say we were scared, we were confident, but we were like definitely I was personally nervous because I'm not a jungle main, and I was like, Rafa's just gonna counter jungle me. He's going, what you guys did technically.
Well, and he does start by taking your blue, so there you go, clear evidence of counter jungling.
But
I just wasn't expecting it to go the way it did.
God, this reminds me of there's an old Japanese war tactic where before battle, both armies would basically shout like trash talk towards the other army, and they ended up stopping doing that because sometimes people would mess up and then it would pump up the other army too much, and other times they would just straight up give away strategies in the trash talk like pre-battle. But it's an interesting thing to be like, oh yeah, you know, that little trash talk thing, no, that pumped us up, we're in it now.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I can't see the game. I don't know if anyone else can.
No, I can't.
There you go. Sorry.
Okay.
I was fixing your camera because you were moving around a lot.
So there's a couple parts of this game that I feel, you know, happened. I think it was Utility Monster from UB was saying to me at some point, like, I don't understand why people are giving Shielded Valor Shen, and you know, I solo killed him and went up 60 CS on him, right? Like, yes, he went Guardian, which is not a thing on top lane Shen. But it was still a situation where it's like, yeah, you know, he did fine, right? But I still was able to outperform him in a lane that is supposed to be Shen favored. So it was it was okay. I know we've gotten a lot of criticism for our draft. There's a couple things that I would like to say about it, but won't, because I don't want to talk about what we can't play more than anything. But there's at least one champion in here that I wish I could plug and play for something else. But it's a I like our draft. I don't think the draft is why we lost. You guys did a fantastic job shutting Rafa down, and who I might call Mark. So if anybody doesn't know, Rafa, Mark are the same person.
Okay.
But the part of this that I want to zoom in on is it's about 19 minutes in the game.
Let's see, that would be like 28 on this.
And so one of the things that I have talked up Rex about a lot is our ability to play around choke points. And at this particular fight, we fail at that really, really hard. So let's go ahead and pause real quick. So right now, in the game, Rex is here at the dragon first, and we have a small gold lead, right? And remember how we were having that discussion about, you should be willing to trade 2 dragons for about a 2,000 to 3,000 gold lead, because it will usually mean that you can win the team fight afterwards, right? We have achieved that, even though it has been way messier. TG did a good job at shutting down the Lilia and having control of some fights, and then we found a couple of fights that ended up bringing us back into the spot. Whatever, early game was messy. We get to the spot where we want to be, and we're very happy. We should be very happy in this position. Couple things are happening. So one, Rex controls Pixel, right? That small bush that we're currently standing in, and TG are coming in a little bit late. Minar is currently sitting in the mid lane, getting prio and building rage, and then Shen is also already here, so he's not creating pressure somewhere else on the map. So all these things are happening at the same time, right? Rex wants to control this choke point here where the Jin trap is, where we're sending the little Callista thing, and we want to hold that choke and make sure that if you guys walk through, you're going to be walking through a Yone ultimate. You're going to be walking into a sleep. You're going to be walking into a Gnar. Now let's fast forward, or let's play up into the point where Rafa gets hooked.
All right. Let's see here.
Yeah, you don't have to fast forward. It's not that far ahead.
If it'll play.
Because up at this point, Rex is currently winning the game. We weren't winning the entire time prior to this, but we are currently winning. Okay, pause as soon as the hook happens. Okay, here we are still winning the game, right? Rafa is in a spot where he got hooked and he shouldn't have gotten hooked here. We had a lot of discussions about all that stuff and microplays that you could have. Shouldn't have gotten hooked here, but it's okay. You see that Oriri is still hitting red buff. Rex is still in control of this choke. Yone's coming over. Thresh cannot take this hook. He cannot come in. And we know this. But as soon as this happens, one of our players makes the call, we're going. Okay? And the problem with that is it happens before I can say no. Right?
No.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes that's what happens.
Right here. Yeah. This is a situation where if we just back away, we're still winning. But we make the call that we're going, and let's go ahead and play through up until Yone's ultimate. Okay, so we're going through. Rafa uses Azonia's, Shen comes in there, it's really messy. Doctor goes over the wall after the we're going call, and pause. Okay, now at this point, remember how we were just saying that Rex, if we are able to hold the choke and prevent Terracotta from coming in, we should win this fight about 7 times out of 10. We didn't do that. We walked over the wall, and we are currently fighting a 3v5 because Callista can't hit and Gnar can't hit. Right, we are currently
perfectly placed Jarvan ult.
Yeah, props to Oriri. Great Jarvan ult. But two of our players cannot hit at all because we gave control of the choke over to Terracotta. Now let's go ahead and play through real quick until this fight breaks out. Yone goes back. Okay. Rafa flashes in, tries to get, he gets a pretty decent sleep to his credit. Unfortunately, he's already dead. Doc has to flash out. We end up using Callista ultimate. And then let's pause again real quick in a second. Notice how this fight is currently going. We are currently fighting again 3v5. Gnar, Callista, Leona. Yone is off on the side. Tien is, throwing in rockets. So we'll count him as half a person. 3 versus 4.5. Jin is, using his ultimate. This part of the fight still goes well for us, right? We trade 2 kills in this position. That is how strong this choke point was, right? And so it's a situation where Terracotta made us panic, and we made, I'm going to call it a forced error, right? We made an error because we were put in an uncomfortable situation, and Terracotta was able to respond to it better. But let's play it through, right? And just highlight how important these choke points are in the rest of the game. I come in, I get a pretty decent ultimate. and we trade a couple of kills. Good flay takes it, makes it take a little while longer, but we still trade evenly. We get back to a 3v3 all of a sudden, and then there's plays that go on. I think it's possible that we could have won this 3v3 if, again, we didn't walk through the choke a second time. But it's so panicked that it's really hard to kind of identify these things. But it's a situation where Terracotta put us into a panicked situation. We made a forced error, and Terracotta are now in a spot where their composition just scales so much better than Rex's that it's incredibly difficult for us to come back.
I think that was like the big thing is I think we played around our comp really well. I'm not saying you guys didn't play around your comps, but I just think we played it around better. I don't think we ever panicked in the game.
Yeah, and I think that's just that one spot, right? Because we knew we cannot let this Corki hit late. One, Tien is really good. Two, he's playing on a character that scales incredibly well. And I think it's just a situation where we weren't able to slow down for even like the 2 seconds that we needed to in order to take that fight and turn it into a winning situation. Because I don't say Rex wins the game off of winning that fight, but we are winning off of that fight.
Because we still have a good comp for scaling anyways, so like it's not like it just gives you that little bit of push, gives you a little more gas. Instead of going 50 miles an hour, you're going 60.
Pretty much.
So props to Terracotta. You guys threw us off a little bit in the draft. We were trying to get Iron Tower to play Caitlyn actually, and couldn't make it happen.
All right, so that's a really good analysis on today. I love every time you're able to break those scenes down. Really gives us a lot of info. We are starting to run a little late on time, so let's just kind of hop through these really quick. CFG versus Terracotta. Oriri, was there anything in particular about this game that kind of stood out to you?
Number one, we got really far behind. Number two, we came back for the second time in 2 weeks.
Let's see, how far behind did we get here?
I think it was like 6K, I think.
There's a lot of Ks.
Wasn't this the AP Riven game?
No. That was not the AP Riven. That was way before. That was against.
Yeah, we have that. We talked about that already. The dark steel Riven.
We both like they got super far ahead. Number one, I got really uncomfortable because I was told like, hey, don't gank, just farm. When I had plenty of ganking opportunities, where I was like, I could have ganked there, but I let the plan get into my head where instead of letting the game take place.
I mean, I think that if you're playing Trundle into Xin Zhao, if the idea is don't gank, just farm, it's a very reductive take of what the matchup is actually supposed to work out. Because if you're playing Trundle into Xin Zhao, you're a control jungler, you don't have to gank, but the point of it is just, if you're playing League of Legends in general, right? The idea is always just to make the enemy team's life a living hell. And whatever it is that you can do in order to accomplish that is going to change things, right? So for Trundle versus Xin Zhao, a lot of the time it's just, invade him, figure out where he is. You don't have to gank any lanes. You just have to make sure that Xin Zhao can't.
Yeah. Well, autofill jungler.
I feel.
Another big thing is like, I think we just are, again, we're playing a comp that we don't play ever. We don't play Rise, our champion. Like we were kind of like limit testing. We weren't expecting it to go this badly though.
God, I want to fight Shielded Valor's Riven so badly.
Hey, it probably never happen.
It'll never happen again.
No, not because he played badly. It's just that our style of play doesn't really fit that.
Every single time when I played against Shielded Valor, he's like, one of these days maybe we'll get the skill matchup if I'm out of tank hell.
Yeah. I think like another big thing is CFG played the early game super well and played to their strengths, and they had like the supporting cast for the late game with the Tristana, with the Corki, with the Shen. We just made one Baron play and ended off it. Literally, that's all that happened. Literally, that's it. We got one Baron play.
Rise.
Yeah, Rise.
Good champion.
We get the Baron and we just run it down mid. Like we already knew like this is our shot, and this is the play. The pillar, the Antunes bondage toss. Like
Yeah.
All
no,
that
I
was
was
just
I was talking about this with my friend earlier, where I was talking about how it's like, I was watching a game with friend or foe, and it was basically, it should have ended in the other direction because the gold lead was, they were under in gold, they were under in kills, but they got a good play and just were able to win it.
Yeah, I also want to say we're the only team to finish with less. We've won twice with less kills than the other team. This being one of them, and the other one was against Ants. And we're the only team that done it somewhere. We've done it twice, which I think is pretty cool.
See,
that's pretty cool.
I kind of feel like, did Xinjiao just like stop moving, or was it all stun?
It was all stun, like he
That's
couldn't.
all stun.
Yep, it's all stun. Do you see the status effect popping
League
up?
of Legends.
He never got to move, and then I just kind of tank all the turrets. Like we're just like, we have to end here. Like,
well, you're Trundle, so
like it was. See, we played this part really well. We didn't play the game well. We just played these last 3 minutes we played well.
And see, this is the thing about League of Legends. It's like, yes, it is one of those games where if you get a substantial gold lead and you start getting ahead, then you're fine. But if you look at the gold values right now, you're actually able to even it up. So you guys were able to stick to it. You were able to play through your CS leads because you have basically double CS. Like, you have at least a good 20, 30 CS on every single member of your team, other than
Jungle.
And Jungle.
Yeah, and Jungle.
Yeah. But
and then, like, my team almost throws this, by the way.
They just a little bit. I mean, they're fighting the Xinjiao on the back line.
And I'm literally just trying to, like, end the game.
Yep. I was trying to think, there's that one moment in the Ignite music video that Riot put out where I think it was Rumble was trying to take the Nexus. I can't remember what game that was.
Yeah,
Fnatic
that was
OMG.
Fnatic, there we go.
Like,
Yeah, like
Cyanide and shoot, who was the other one?
So the Rumble was
Soaz.
and the Kha'Zix was Loveling, I want to say
I
it.
believe so.
that sounds right.
I still cannot get over that back not getting canceled. I'm still tilted. It's been years. I'm still tilted.
Just saying, like, we should not have won that game, but we won the game anyways.
It happens, man.
Sometimes there's games you win that you shouldn't have won, and there's games you lost where you shouldn't have lost, so it evens itself out eventually.
Yeah.
All right.
So in this game in particular, right? I'm not playing in this game, right?
You sent the draft over to your team.
One of the big things about RLS is I do 100% of the drafting. Like, Escape is all right at drafting. I got very used to drafting in the Mythic season, last season. And this is something where, originally, right, I had sent over a draft that is phenomenal if we just want to win this game. And then the team, from what I understood, as a whole decided we are basically locked into playoffs. We don't have to just go for winning drafts. We know better than Ahntye. No, it's not that. It's actually genuinely that we don't really get too much time to scrim or practice other team compositions. So if we're going to take the time to figure out something that we can actually play, then if we have no time outside of stage time, then we have to take it. So this is purely, there's a ton of things where, Escape also admitted, hey, I could have drafted this better, and et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of it does come down to the draft, but a lot of it is just, hey, we want to play new things that we haven't gotten to work before. We want to stick Kieri on Darius so that way she can play League of Legends instead of just Sion, but again. And a lot of it is something where, at the end, while we did lose, I can tell from my teammates that they said they got a decent bit out of it. So props to PTP for playing that well, and we'll see y'all in playoffs.
Yeah, I will just say that Rex was very, very entertained by this draft.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of insider information about this, and we were just like, wait, what?
I'm not even gonna lie. The moment that I saw it, because I'm pretty sure we're thinking about the same thing. The moment I saw it, I had to not scream because I was camping. But I found the one spot in the camping site that has internet connection at 4 a.m, and I saw the draft, and I was like, "What in the fresh hell am I looking at?" And once I get back home, I had the whole weekend to cool off. Once I get back home, I was like, "All right, I need some explanation." And I was like, "Well, this is the reasoning behind it." And I was like, "Okay, this makes sense." As long as this wasn't picked as something where it's like, oh yeah, this is our best chance of winning.
We thought this was a good idea.
there's a lot of things that we could have just slotted in, but it's not that we could have just taken before, right? We don't have to do the same thing over and over again. But, obviously there's better ways to go about it. And I think PTP did a phenomenal job at playing around their win conditions, and RLS weren't able to pull it out. It happens.
Yeah, I won't say too much more beyond what I did, but I was just super shocked to see this draft.
Yo, same.
Yep, and I do think there was some questionable decisions by Lilia. I'm not entirely sure what War Leader was doing, like the walk-in just now, the getting bat shot and having their back present. Oh, sorry. I keep having to fiddle with things off to the side. I keep forgetting that it does that. I should just share the screen. I think that wouldn't go black on you. It was this right here. So it was the Windrake take, trying to steal it. Just kind of walked in, got blown up.
I mean, it happens. One of the other things.
No, it totally does.
For a lot of these macro calls, I'm also the main shot caller.
You can't be Oriri stealing dragons.
Right.
I think
I don't know. I think with the best dragon stealer, objective stealer we ever had is not in the league right now. And it was.
I think I've stolen more epic monsters than my jungler has this season.
I
stole Baron and Dragon.
Both with Set, right?
No, one was Volibear. It was Dragon against Rafa.
Oh, yeah.
I remember
and
that.
You stole Baron against TG.
It's okay, Oriri, you weren't the jungler that time.
No. I was not.
Well, either way, I do think this was a good showing for PTP, even with RLS griefing it in that sense. It's the same situation as GURL versus Ahntye. You have to give credit to the enemy team for giving the game over, but at the same time, you can definitely say PTP was able to take advantage of the disadvantage y'all gave yourselves. So I think that's a really good thing to point out right there.
Yeah, all of the bottom teams can beat the better teams if the bottom teams have really good days and the top teams have bad days.
And we're enough of a league that has a close enough skill gap that I think that's pretty awesome. I think there's only one or two teams in particular that's not exactly true for. And they aren't in the same league.
It might be on your screen right now.
One of them.
Like we said, GURL Muffins looks really good in the early game sometimes.
They do. So Joushi, just kind of what was kind of your impression? Just go off bacon pancakes because you were laning against them during this one.
I was actually laning against Nico this game. I was mid lane.
Oh, that's right. Y'all did the crazy lane swapping, and I was completely confused whenever we got into this.
Yeah. There was actually an even crazier possibility that we were thinking about of having Syndra bot, just on a top, Kled mid.
Yo, hold on, Rex Syndra?
Syndra is not my best champion, but I was just like, we need to find something, and I really wanted to play Twisted Fate here, actually, but
this is the
it just sounded awful in my head.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is the game.
This is a game. Yeah, this is a game where Doc has been fiending for a Yuumi game all season. He was like, please can we do it? And I told him, look, we can do it. We can do whatever you want against GURL. And he was like, yes, thank you. So we played it, and Mark was like, oh, if you're going to play that, I want to play Olaf. And we're like, okay. And so that happened, and then Alkbetter was like, okay, well, if you guys are going to do that, I'm going to get ignored. I want to play Justana. And then we get to our last two picks, and Zenzen said, I really want to get a Kled game in. Right, if we're playing Olaf, Yuumi, I want to play Kled. And then I was like, okay, we can make that happen. And so it's like, okay, are we sending at mid or top? And he's like, I could do either. So I was like, man, I haven't played mid this entire season. So it was just kind of a lot of things that led to one another. And, you know, Rafa is, you know, I think a good player. I don't think he's always shown his best throughout the entire tournament. But it's just a situation where if you give him the tools to succeed against a team that's not as coordinated, he's going to succeed really hard. And that's basically what this whole game was.
I have noticed that we've kind of seen a lack of Hecarim lately. I'm assuming that's just because
Hecarim's garbage.
He's garbage right now. I surprisingly have been having way more success with him than I have with any of the meta junglers. I don't know if that's because he hasn't been played a lot, so people are unfamiliar with him now.
I think he's in an okay spot. He's not like.
I was noticing
like
some
he's
weird
playable.
things whenever I was in the game. I feel like I won those because of everyone else, not because of what I was doing.
I think
Hecarim
he
is very good at
playable.
punishing mistakes.
Yeah.
I think he is playable, and a lot of teams make mistakes that can be punished.
Yes.
If anybody is in the Luna League and watching, and your jungler plays Hecarim, play it against Yubi. They're actually like specifically weak against the champion.
Well, you know,
Hey,
it takes advantage of that.
can't be out in your UBA.
No, they just don't
They
want to
had the
face
exact
off.
same question to me. It's like, how are you gonna fucking beat Joshi's Gnar? And they were like, well, here are all the champions you can do to play
Exactly.
against
So
it.
this is how you beat Yubi.
When I asked Jeff like who to ban, I was like, what do we ban against you guys? He was like, ban whatever they play. You played with them, so and you played Graves. And he was like, ban Graves and Gnar, and we didn't do that.
God, I still can't get over like our first game against TG, where we're just like, all right, you know, we're going into the league. It's our first time in heroic, and we haven't had our mid or our AD carry play Ziggs for the past month in Norm, so that way they don't show up on the OPG cheese. And you ban Ziggs and Volley, and we're just like,
We saw it in your Clash games.
Serenity goes in.
We saw it in our your Clash games specifically.
And
So
I
that's
know,
where-
Oriri, you've mentioned that you don't like to steal things based off of the Serenity games. You don't like to share information with the Serenity. That's a very honorable thing to do that will lose you games.
I don't like that. It's like it brings out like it to me. It's like cheating to me. And for the I don't want to give myself any advantage to any of the teams, which is one of the issues that we had last year. It was like no team wanted to scrim us really, like because they were afraid that we were gonna pass information between each other. So I even said the same thing last season. It just helped that like we were in separate leagues this time, so it made it a little bit easier.
Yeah. No,
But,
and that's honestly, that's the fair thing. It's like between having a sister team like that, like you do kind of have a quote unquote what appears to be advantage because it's like the same organization vying for the top spot. But that is, again, it's an honorable thing that you guys do, and I think that's pretty awesome.
Like as far as like leaking scrims goes, I think that's a big no-no. You're right.
I agree. I mean, it's like if the scrims were public, then they're public, and you should have the information. If they're private, they're private. You shouldn't have that info. It's
yeah. The only time I don't think anyone wants their scrims public.
Because that's when you do the crazy wonky things that just nobody knows what's going on. But Joushi,
y'all are gonna like look at scrims and see me playing Gangplank support and be like, oh, hold on.
Either way, though, I think it looked like y'all were having a lot of fun this game, Rex. I feel like GURL may not have been having as much fun. But
they've been enjoying the league.
They're enjoying playing, and it's like it is definitely one of those situations where it's like I feel like there are instances because being a sub for GURL, I played with them a couple of times. It's definitely like the comms are usually pretty calm. Like there's not a lot of going like yelling back and forth, that sort of thing. It's very much it's okay guys, we got this, what do we need to do next? Okay, we're fine, we'll need to make sure that we fix that, we'll go over it later, what do we need to do next? So it's like we're still
that's a good mentality. I like it a lot.
I agree. That's great.
That's one thing that I've noticed about the difference between Luna and Helios. Helios seems to be a lot more tilt-proof than Luna. Luna, I feel like tilt's easier. Like if they get behind, they tilt. Whereas Helios, like no matter what, you're always like all the teams are still in the game. Like mentally.
Yeah.
At least that's what it appears like.
Right. Which brings us to our last game. There is a point I do want to bring up after we do either before or after predictions here, but I want to get through this last game. So this one was Ahntye versus STC. Again, we're seeing Seal Team Chris.
Playoff dream, baby!
They're fighting so hard. I'm soloing. Once again, getting the Yone. I feel like they're letting him get this champion through just so they can play against the skin. Like, that has to be it.
Well, no, okay, again, though, this is a spot where Action has a really good matchup into Yone, right? Like, people are of the opinion that they can just beat him. And, like, maybe you're good enough to do it, but why take that risk?
Yeah.
You just make him not a player.
I don't even think Akshan played it badly either. Like, in the laning phase specifically, like, I don't think he even played it bad. I think he actually played it pretty well. And by the Jarvan was very, very spicy. Just want to say that.
Also true. Jeff has been showing some interesting champions in the bottom lane for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Just to say slightly, yeah. I haven't seen
I
J4
also think
support
it's
in a
most-
while.
I mean, of these picks, Jarvan support's actually like a lot more meta than the others we've seen.
Jarvan
Yeah.
Lucian is a specifically good combo.
Yes.
Yes, because of the buff that Lucian
Yeah.
just got.
Yeah, especially because this is air. Yeah, it is airy Jarvan. If I wasn't able to catch these games because I was gone for the weekend. Did Jarvan end up building Zonya's?
I have no idea.
Because
Probably.
Zonya's Jarvan support is actually like straight up was a meta pick.
He did
He
not.
built Serpent.
He went
built
Serpent's Fang.
He was trolling. Never mind.
I mean, a Serpent's Fang is pretty good into their comp.
The Serpent's Fang is not bad. Don't get me wrong.
But
it's
first
just that
item?
the point of Jarvan support is that you can engage with your ultimate and you don't have to be tanky because you just Sonya's and then you just flag and drag away.
Exactly. No, I think, and that's actually a really good AX. Then once again, you've also got, now that you've trapped everyone, perfect culling right there. Just everyone just gets absolutely pummeled. There's nothing they can do about it. They're trapped for cannon to be able to get the shocks off. So yeah, I do think that this was definitely, it was also a pretty short game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was only like a 30-minute game. They just got a really good lead on the side of STC, just kind of steamrolled their way through. I feel like their comp was just a little bit more balanced, is a good way to put it.
I think they have a really strong mid game.
But
comp,
they're
really,
I think they have a really
strong.
strong mid lane game. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I don't feel like Ahntye lost this in draft though. Or
Yeah, I don't
other
think
than
they
the
did
I'm
either.
soloing part. But like if you didn't tell me who any of these players were and just put these two teams against each other, I'd say it's Ahntye or STC is slightly
not half
favored.
bad.
Yeah. But
Like,
it's not it's all about I'm soloing just being really good on 3 champions.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Sejuani pick's kind of weird when you have no, like, melee solo laners.
True.
But the thing is, like, the composition itself isn't awful. It's just that the way how Ahntye played was they played as an, well, we're just better, so we're going to win, rather than actually playing to the composition strengths.
I completely agree, and then they ended up getting a pretty decent win on that, which is going to lead us into the predictions. And the point that I wanted to bring up was tilt proof. You mentioned it for the Helios League being better than the Luna League in that sense. I think we were having a conversation last night about tilting Joushi, and I'm trying to remember what the specifics were, or it was brought up within the Discord.
Oh, we were talking with Brendan.
Yeah, when we were talking with Brendan.
There's the discussion that I was trying to lead is that or the part that I was like really trying to get at is in League of Legends you get a lot of people who tilt and become toxic because of it, because they don't feel like they have a lot of control over the game. And so, I'll be honest, when we played against TG, I felt like I played that game, not perfectly, but I felt like I played it pretty darn well on the Gnar. And it didn't matter because a lot of the things that happened were not in my control. And so I was not pleased leaving the game, but then I went to go see Porter Robinson immediately afterwards and everything was great. But it's a situation where a lot of teams need to be not focusing on what has happened, but I think as Oriri and Ahntye have said, what can we do from here? What is happening next? How can we bring this game back? Because even if you're really far behind, nobody's playing in this league is perfect. There are ways to bring it back. So if you can be forward thinking in that regard, it helps a lot of these teams stay in the game for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, right? So RLS, I'm pretty sure I mentioned it before on cast, is primarily made up of people who came from fighting games. So a lot of the times when it comes to League of Legends players, they feel like, oh, I can't do anything. So they get tilted and they start taking it out on their teammates because, obviously, it's my teammates that are holding me back. And, sometimes that can be true. But the point of the matter is that when you're playing fighting games, it's a solo thing. So you really have to figure out what it is that you as the individual can do better. And your teammates not playing well or something like that does not matter, right? It's always going to come down to what can you do better? What can you improve on? And you can be frustrated. Being frustrated is totally normal. Having feelings is totally normal. It's what you do with that frustration. If you allow it to be something negative that makes you lash out at other people, it's not going to be helpful, and it's just going to make people not like you, honestly. Because what are you going to get from the game of League of Legends? If you're a professional player with a lot of stuff on the line, sure, that's stuff that you can get out of it, right? But even in that same vein, if it's not helping you in your growth as a person and your interpersonal relations, I don't care if you get $100,000 a year, you're still a jerk. You still need to learn how to get better.
Yep. Completely agree. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to bring that up for. All right. So hopping right over here to the actual games we got coming up. So this is actually going to be the final set of games before we determine seeding for Helios and Luna, both respective in the next upcoming set. So that's going to be this Thursday, Friday, September 30th and the 1st, and then week after on, I think it's the 3rd and 4th. So with that, I've got, let's see if it'll load. It's a Google Doc thing. So let's just look first a couple of days. We got, let's see here. Come on, like me. There we go.
Ooh.
Okay. So Helios standings. Gonna zoom in on this a little bit if it'll let me.
Okay, we know what they are.
Yeah, exactly. We know what they are. So Terracotta sitting 10-2, Rex right behind 9-3. Yeah, and then we got Ahntye 8-4. So STC is still tied for 6th place with Coin Flip Gaming. So the way these next two, so those are the games that are going to matter because it's only the top 6 that'll be going. So I think those are the ones we should look at right here. So next is games we've got actual CFG versus STC, so that's going to be a really important game.
Hype.
Really hyped for that. And then STC versus TG and Rex versus CFG. So
STC playoff dream. STC playoff dream.
Yeah. So okay. So general thoughts, real quick. TG are about as locked as they can be for first place in the league, right? Yeah. They're playing against GURL and STC, right? And they should comfortably be both of those teams. Rex is pretty comfortably in second, though a little bit less comfortably. The big things that we need is we are expecting to beat PTP, but I'm actually going to be gone on Friday. And going up against CFG, I'm still confident in my team to win that most of the time, but it is, I don't want to say it's as sure of a thing as it would be if I was around. Luckily, we do have most of our starting rosters still playing. It's only me that's going to be gone. So the thing is, we are currently 1 game ahead of Ahntye, and if we win against PTP like we expect to, and then also beat CFG, we're locked for second. But if we drop either of those games and Ahntye beat both RLS and PTP, they can upset our second place spot, and that's probably the biggest possible movement other than CFG versus STC.
I mean, there is also the possibility of RLS over Ahntye, but I think that's about it.
Yeah, but is 3rd, 4th? I guess yeah, you're playing for seeding, but it's not like
it's more of seeding rather than anything.
If PTP loses their game, they will be 6 and 7. And if RLS wins theirs, they'll be 7 and sorry, I don't know why I'm looking at that. So if INT loses
if
their
Arliss
games,
wins,
yeah.
If Arliss wins the head-to-head against INT, then we have 2 games over them in the head-to-head, and we would be tied with them in the standing.
Right.
And the next day, if both teams win, then we're tied. And I'm not sure if we have to play a tiebreaker or if we just gonna count for head-to-head.
It should. I think it just counts for head-to-head. To be honest, or that's how it should be.
I think let me see. Is the head-to-head on the? No,
It's not listed on the doc.
I feel like if the head-to-head was on the first, it would definitely be the head-to-head would be the determining factor. Because it's not, I have a feeling these 2 games it might result in a tiebreaker. Either that or we'll go alphabetically. So.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Wait, this is horrible for us.
Yeah.
Wait, who's locked in 5th then? Yeah, PTP is super locked for 5th.
PTP is in 5th. They are going in 5th seed.
The only spot that's like debate, like the top 5 teams are making it to playoffs.
Yeah.
It's
a matter of order, a matter of who's gonna play off against who first, and then it's gonna be who is the 6th team that's gonna be joining.
Unless PTP has a 2-0 weekend and RLS has a 0-2 weekend.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So I do know that I feel like STC is a little bit favored in their CFG game. I feel like they've got a little bit of an edge here. It's going to be a really hype match though. And then for the
solos.
Yeah, because of I'm Solo. It depends on if they let Solo get his champs, then I say that they're good.
I mean, I think that CFG drafting is the biggest weak point of CFG, but against STC, you actually can just op.gg draft against them.
Yeah.
So
there is that. They do have that advantage. Now, the STC versus TG game, I know that it's not the same as if it was STC versus UP, in which you just pay 69 cents and you're good. How is TG feeling going into this, though?
I mean, newsflash, new mid laner for TG. So, I mean, we're confident our mid laner, but it's still the fact that, like, number one, we may not be able to play on Thursday. So that gives. Yeah.
Wait,
so
like a forfeit can't play?
Like so Cam and Jovi do not want to play anymore. So they don't want to play with us at all. So those are our 2 subs. Tiang also quit. So there's 3 players. That's 3 of our slots. And then we have Brain, and that's our only spot. And we don't have enough time to add a spot. And we didn't know until literally 2 hours ago that our support and tunes won't be able to be there.
So
that's brutal.
If you have to give that up, that's gonna put you guys at 10-3 just right off the bat.
Wait, that actually gives Rex an opportunity to
But you would still have to win out,
and we would 2-0,
yeah, you would still have to 2, and then it would be a tiebreaker for first place.
This is the dankest timeline. Let's go.
This is the best timeline. I want this. I want all of this.
This is
the difference. The difference between first and second is big. It means you get to pick your semifinal opponent.
Yeah. It's huge.
Joushi, remember the ARAM games.
But so we may be able to play, but we may have to play. I gotta talk to Fang over Fang about this, but we may have to like delay our game 15 minutes to get the play, like our big brain to play. But he's still not guaranteed. He's only 50-50 on making it on time.
Oh man.
Oh god.
That's so stressful.
From a production standpoint alone, this is already stressful. I can't imagine it from a competitor standpoint.
Until I was super stressed because we thought that Rex was gonna have to field 3 subs on Friday. Me and Rafa and Alk Battery were all expected to not be able to make it. And so we were freaking out, right? That's why we were asking Utility Monster if he was gonna be able to sub. And that was stressing me out. And we had like 4 days to figure it out. You won't know until 10 minutes before the game. That's insane.
I also forgot to mention something. We also don't have our full roster Friday.
Oh, Jesus. Oh my god, what is this? What is this?
Interestingly enough, coming out of the shadows for the first time in the entire season, is our coach Jack Xander, who is our like eternal duo partner with Escape. So it's
Not as bad.
It's actually, some people could argue it's an upgrade just because he and Escape have played together for years, and Demon Girl and Escape are still finding their footing. I think that those two are like really good together. It's just Jack Xander and Escape don't have to communicate in order to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
So it's very, very different situation.
So honestly, the most important game on this schedule is the TG versus GURL game. That's the weirdest thing ever.
Oh my god, this is
man.
great.
Oh my god.
I
think GURL is out of playoff contention, but they have the chance to destroy some dreams.
So like, I need CFG to beat Rex at least if we can't play.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes.
Just one of them. I need one of them to beat Rex.
Okay, so hear me out. Hear me out. I know you're locked for playoffs. Don't pick something new. This time you gotta win.
Oh, I have a spicy pick I want to pick. If we do.
Oh,
do I know what it is?
same.
You probably do.
Is it the one that you told me about?
Yeah.
I also have a spicy pick available, but like I cannot handle disrespect drafting. So I'm the type of person where it's like, I have a spicy pick and it's very good, but I will only pick it if it's a good counter pick.
So,
Hey man, I picked Jace in like our second week.
the champion.
Jason is at least a good champion into a lot of these. I'm picking something much more wild.
So the champion that I'm talking about specifically, like really, really strong in Hailu, she's like S tier, and that's all I'm gonna say.
All right,
you got the gender.
I think we've got the drama that we wanted for these Thursday, Saturday games. I mean, this is way more hype than I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was like, we're good for playoffs. Everything's kind of but it's like, no.
I did not know it was gonna be.
This is gonna be nuts. Oh
All right.
my
Also,
god.
Ahntye, please beat Ahntye.
I'm not, so like, it's kind of funny because, you know, we talked about how we're just having, we're locked into playoffs. We're just going to pick things that we think are good so that we can get some practice on stage. And immediately after we finished that conversation, I said, that's cool and all. We're stomping the hell out of Ahntye.
Let's go.
Oh.
And everyone was like, oh, yeah, no, totally. And it was also really kind of funny because it was right after Burst and said, technically, as far as seeding goes, it's better if you're fourth or something like that. From what I understand.
Yeah, but that was before we realized that first got to like pick.
Yeah, and then we were just like, well, we gotta beat Ahntye.
But yeah, so TG versus GURL, and then RX versus CFG are the most important.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, that's true. Because if CFG beat us, then it doesn't matter if STC win.
Wait, what's the record of GURL right now? Are they
GURL
two?
is
2-10.
2-10. They're too
Dude,
far
if
down.
they make,
They could
theoretically
make it.
Oh, could they?
I love GURL as a team, but if they make it into playoffs having only won 3 forfeits, I'm gonna be very sad.
They'd have to win against
but then
ROS.
again, they'd have to. I'm okay. I love GURL. I love them so much, but they just, the teams that they're up against.
Well, no. So TG would be a forfeit. This is the hypothetical.
Okay. Oh,
TG
I see
would
what
be
you're
a
saying.
4.
Okay, so theoretically.
Alright, let's get match fix.
Okay, Ahntye.
No. You don't
What's your
understand
price?
how much
What's
I want
your
STC
price?
to make playoffs. You do not understand how much I want STC to make playoffs. It's not. I'm not match fixing. If we lose on Friday, we just got outplayed, bro. We just got outplayed.
So Friday we're gonna have our full roster, so SCC will have it.
Okay.
So both Thursday and Friday, I want to bring out spicy picks.
Okay.
Nice. I'm excited. This last week is gonna be way more
spicy as
interesting. than I
possible.
thought.
It is. I'm so sorry you won't be there. So you'll have to be sure to catch those games.
All I can say is against STC, make it as spicy as possible. We need to force Koshi to play in playoffs.
I think I'll probably be the only one that picks spicy.
Oh
just
my
'cause-
god. Oh, dude, I'm remembering the conversations we had behind the screen during playoffs last season. Oh my god, he was so stressed having to deal with running broadcast and having to play in these games.
You
Yeah.
have to do it.
Oh my god, it'd be great.
SGC dream.
It'd be so good. It'd be so good. Which actually, like, Joushi, I kind of, to close this out, do you have anything you'd like to say? Because I think you've had some really good responses in the trash talk channel.
You need to
But I just,
ask.
do you have anything you'd like
ask-
to say here?
You need to ask Brain to not show up.
Oh man, I can't think of it. I can only respond to the trash talk. I'm not gonna start
You're
it.
not gonna start the
I
joke.
feel
No,
you
I
on
think-
that.
I appreciate it.
Let's see. I think the big thing, honestly, is PTP. Like, you've got a tall task ahead of you. Now that we know that we're still in contention for first, we're gonna take this way more seriously than we were originally going to. So you're gonna have to bring your game.
Oh man, it's the problem of the trash talk just causing things to loop back around and make you even stronger.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know if anybody has the video editing skills for me to do that. Joushi, you ain't shit. Anyone else?
Did you see that Josh PR, bro?
Oh, that's true. Shit, I'll do it next time.
All right, so with that, I'm actually gonna go ahead and I think this is a good spot to close it. I think we're good. This is great. Adobe Creative Cloud, Logitech Gaming, thank you so much for your support. We greatly appreciate it. Guys, be sure to tune in Thursday, September 30th and Friday, October 1st, because it's gonna be nuts. I mean, Rex making first place is a possibility now. So that's gonna be exciting. It'll be 4:30 Pacific time on twitch.tv/FoF Esports, and be sure to drop by the Discord. I will actually be putting if I have permission from Joushi, I'll put those 2 videos at the end of this for the lounge. So you can see exactly what we're talking about here.
Please, CFG or PTP, beat Rex. That's all I want.
Happening.
That will be an early Christmas present.
All right, with that, we're gonna have a good
Halloween,
one,
it's
folks.
spooky.
We'll catch you later. Have a good, nice time on the Rift. Yeah, you have to start against Rex the day after. Oh my god.
Joushi, you ain't shit.
We've already got Joushi hopping onto the Nart. This game is already over for SDC.
Well, Songo is spotted, so while you know Doctor does know he's there, and now Oriana is going to have the job of third. But
That's Joushi getting a nice knockback, getting a nice stun as he just smacks him down live from Disintegration Ray, finishes it off. But Joushi picks himself yet another kill. Poor Lord of the Monster didn't have a chance. Look at that Nart getting in the wall, getting a nice stun off, and that's going to be Zen picking up a kill on Songo.
God, it's so disgusting. You said this is going to be the end hit, but I think this might be the game because
This is-
what's available.
I completely forgot about them having Scully and that they were going to be able to get this extra hit. That is going to be a double hit right here. We're going to see a second charge onto the Nexus turret. That Nexus turret is going to go down. That is going to be the Tidecaller coming out. Are we going to see the Scully dance? I don't know. We see the Nexus getting peppered. We see the rest of Rex getting a lot of damage off. And we've got a dancing Scully to finish off the game. So guys, you got anything you want to say before we close it out?
Joushi, you ain't shit.
Side of Rex as we have them jumping onto the back line, trying to hit it up, shred it apart. That's going to be a shutdown as Fiora manages to pick up a kill. Joushi is still active though as he's trying to shred through it. Zach, while in the meantime, was over by Outsider, but Outsider was able to stand down. That's going to be the passive Zach taken out as well. Arliss' escape is trying to do what they can, but Zen putting out the damage, getting those double auto attacks off, and that is going to be an easy cleanup for Rex Regalis. They have shown why they are the kings of Summoner. Huge split decisions coming out right here, but Rex has got the front line in order to do it. This is just where you're sending them in one at a time. Huge heal coming off, huge amount of damage onto Seraphine, just making them go pop, and that is them diving right onto this backline. This is where the Ahntye is important. However, Zen picks up the kill, getting the double auto attack. Have Demon Girl flashing back under the safety of Fountain, trying to get a play in order to pull some of these members of Rex into the turret. Joushi somehow surviving under the Fountain Cannon, and that is going to be Rex Regalis picking up the win.